video. Here we're gonna have also try another type, which is number, but here instead of to say email, let's say enter a number. So for this, obviously it's gonna be a number instead of a month, but we can also have input type month, and we can have a number. I never talk about month, but we could have input type month as well. Then here instead to have only ID, we can add another property called the main, means the maximum number we want to show. Let me go back real quick, space here. So the main, we can have a maximum number. Probably you want the minimum number in the input field should be 1, and then you can have a max. So a max, maybe you want to have a maximum number of probably 10. So in between this are valid. Anything above this or below this is invalid. So, and we can add what we call the step value, and the step value will be how should the number increase. We can do +1, +0.2, +5, and all that. So for example, if I add step here I can add 0.5 here. So as in the increase is gonna go 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, just like that. That is the meaning of the step here. Okay, so let me save this and run this, but this is still, let me do my number. Okay, and for my number, you need to reference that in the same, you need to reference that here, so you get the ID. Okay, so my number is referenced, but let me see my number. Okay, let's have in a double quote the value dot get. So here we can simply say number. Okay, and alert number. Okay, let's save this and then we see what we got on the screen. So we have the number, and here we can go up, and then the step start from 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, and all that. Then we can have the get here. So this is how we implement number, but we have extra additional values we can add here, which is the minimum, maximum, and then we could have the steps, but the ID is referring to the ID we have here, and then this could change based on the step at which we've added to it. So for example, let's say we have 1 or 0 in here. We can gauge this with the colors as well. Let me see. If we want to gauge this, type, instead of type, here should be number. Instead of email, here should be number and number. Okay, so now we have the border colors here. So when we have 0, it goes to red. When we have 1, it goes to green. So it shows you that the input is actually for the right numbers within the max and then the minimum, and using the right step in there. So what else can we do? We can also try to have search input as well. So search input is simply changing the type to search without this. This is only valid for the numbers input. So we will add search here, and then we can add ID of search, And then what we can add here is also what the placeholder means, is to tell the user what to type inside the search. So we can say type anything in there. Great. So here this needs to change to a search. Okay, so we have search here. So when we change the value of the button to search, then it makes more sense for what we see here. So search, so you can say type anything and then you do the search. So this is apparently a search type in HTML5 input. And the next one we want to look at is simply telephone. So telephone. So let me do HTML5 input types. Okay, so telephone is TEL, and this will change our input to receive a phone number. So here we can change it to my phone, or since we can just leave it, it's just a demo, so we can leave it. But for the placeholder, we need to actually help the users type in the number of digits and the right phone number. So we could use XX here to represent how many digits needs to be typed into the input field, and we can add required, means it needs to be correct to validate it. So let me reload this. So let's say we do this, no, but we do more numbers, then it's gonna validate it. But since we don't have the validation working on it now, so it's not gonna show on the screen because we have the type there to be number instead of telephone. So let's see this. Okay, so now we see that it is red. Well, when we have numbers to the exact, then it's gonna be green. When we don't have that, it's gonna be red. So that is how we apparently implement telephone in HTML5. We can use it in a real life project, which is really cool. And we have time. Instead of date time with it, we can only have time for our input field. So let me clear this, and then we have, instead of the ID, let's do the time here. So time, and here it's gonna give us clearly we can only enter time here. Okay, so the next type we want to check is the URL. So URL means the input field which accepts only the rightful link with HTTP included. So let's say URL here, and then my URL. Okay, so this ID should be the same here, and the URL should be the same type here. So every time the type needs to correspond to our CSS type we have up there. So anytime we type in a wrong URL, it's actually gonna show a different color. But let's say we want to pick a rightful URL like this one, and then paste it in here. We have a rightful URL. Okay, I think the color is not changing. Let me see. My URL dot value alert. So that's the URL here. Type URL. Let me see. I think everything is correct now. So okay, so now let me paste in the rightful URL, and then we should see that working perfectly. So great. But when we take out URL and then we type anything wrong, we see what happens. It changes it. So it actually checks that it is a URL which is in there or not. So that is the good side of the input field, which automatically validate itself. But we're using the color to make sure you see that okay, it actually validates what is inside the input field. And then another mentioning of a type which we could also use is week, when we want users to only display week inside our input field, then we can add the weeks. So this changes. So this is most of the tags or input field which is mostly used in the project. So like I said, we have the week, we have the datetime local, we have the color, we have the month, we have the week, and then we have the URL. These are the most commonly used tags in the HTML. We're going to continue in the next video.